Right now, sitting quietly in government offices across this country, there is money with your name on it. Not one pot of money, three. Three separate streams of cash and coverage. Already funded, already legal, already yours if you simply reach out and ask. This July, that news matters more than ever because the numbers behind all three just shifted in your favor. Most people will scroll right past it, not because they don't qualify, but because nobody ever sat them down and explained it in plain language. One of these can erase a bill quietly draining your Social Security check every month. One can knock a serious chunk off the bill that punishes you twice a year, once in the heat and once in the cold. And the third is an entire second monthly check, one that a staggering number of seniors are convinced they cannot have. And they are simply wrong. Roughly 1 in 3 older Americans who qualify for these programs never file a single application. Stay with me because I'm going to walk you through what these three surprises are this July, who genuinely qualifies, the real income numbers right now, and exactly how to claim each one before this window closes. Here's how we'll go through it. One at a time, plain English, no jargon. What it is, who really qualifies, and the simplest way to file. I'll also warn you about a scam that follows this kind of money like a shadow, because the moment a benefit becomes public, someone picks up the phone to try and steal it. I've spent more than 15 years sitting across kitchen tables with families, going through the fine print of these programs. I'm not selling you anything today, and I don't earn a cent whether you file or not. It doesn't matter if you're 62 or 92, or how sure you are that you make too much. Watch all three before you rule any of them out, because it's exactly the people who assume they don't qualify who leave the most money behind. Why has nobody told you sooner? Because these programs pay out only what you apply for. There's no government employee whose job is to call and say, based on your income, here's what you're owed. These benefits sit behind confusing names and buried applications most people never see. And older Americans on a fixed income are the least likely to go digging through a government website. So the money sits there, unclaimed. This month, we changed that. Here's the first piece of good news, and you can start on it this week. If you're on Medicare, you're almost certainly paying a premium for Part B, the part that covers doctor visits, straight out of your Social Security check before you ever see it. In 2026, that premium runs a little over $200 a month, more than $2,400 a year, quietly disappearing from your check. Here's the good news. A Medicare savings program exists where your own state pays that premium for you entirely, so your monthly check grows by that same amount. The most generous version, for the lowest incomes, also wipes out your deductibles and copays, so surprise bills after a doctor's visit stop landing in your mailbox. Slightly higher income versions still cover the premium outright. Who actually qualifies? This is where people count themselves out of their own money. For 2026, a single person can earn up to somewhere around $1,800 a month and still qualify. And for a married couple, the line climbs into the $2,400 range. Before you say, I make too much, actually go check, because plenty of people who are certain they earn too much land right inside that window. Picture a 73-year-old widow watching more than $200 vanish every month for her Part B premium, always assuming programs like this were for other people. Until someone ran her real numbers. Her state took over the premium, and her check grew by roughly $2,500 a year. To claim it, apply through your state's Medicaid office, or get free help from your local state health insurance assistance program, known as SHIP. You simply say, I'm on Medicare, I'm on a fixed income, and I want to know if I qualify to have my Part B premium paid. That brings me to the warning I promised, because this is exactly the kind of benefit scammers love to circle. Someone phones, sounding official, claims to be from Medicare or Social Security, and says they can activate your benefit today if you just confirm your bank account or Social Security number. Stop. Hang up. Medicare and Social Security do not call you out of the blue asking for that information to hand you money. Always go to the source yourself. Here's the second surprise, and it hits a bill that keeps plenty of you up at night, your energy bill. There's a federal program run through your state called the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Most people have never heard of it, and the ones who have assume it couldn't apply to them. Depending on your household, income, and location, it can put anywhere from a couple $100 up to around $1,000 toward heating and cooling, usually paid directly to your utility company. Here's the part most people miss. This program covers cooling too. And for an older person in a July heat wave, air conditioning isn't a luxury, it's a safety issue. There's usually a crisis fund layered on top for a shutoff notice or a failed furnace or air conditioner. Claiming this does not reduce your Social Security or count against you as income. Funding is limited, so you have to actually be in line before it runs dry. Picture a retired couple rationing the air conditioning every summer, certain this help wasn't for people like them. Until one phone call sent a few $100s straight to their utility company and repaired an air conditioner that had been limping along for 2 summers. To claim it, contact your local energy assistance office or simply dial 211. Now here's the third surprise, and honestly, this is the biggest of all three, because it isn't a discount or a bill being covered, it's an entirely separate second check. It's called Supplemental Security Income, SSI for short. There's Social Security, the retirement check you earned through years of working, and there's SSI, a completely separate federal payment for people 65 or older or disabled living on a low income with limited savings. Here's the mistake that costs people the most. Most folks assume that because they already receive Social Security, they can't also receive this. That's simply false. For 2026, following last year's cost of living increase, the maximum a single person can receive from SSI is now around $994 a month, and for a couple, just under $1,500. If you already receive Social Security, your SSI is usually reduced by part of that, but a reduced check is not nothing. And yes, this looks at your savings, but the home you live in and your car generally don't count against you. Picture a man with 38 years on the job and a check that no longer stretches to the end of the month. Certain SSI was welfare, and certain he'd never see a dime of it. He was wrong. A partial SSI check landed on top of his Social Security, and for the first time in years, the arithmetic finally worked. To claim it, apply directly through the Social Security Administration, online, over the phone, or in person. And it's completely free. Why is this particular July the month to check all three, even if you looked once before and were turned away? At the end of last year, the cost of living adjustment moved every one of these numbers. The SSI amount increased, the income limits shifted, and the Medicare premium changed, which means people who were just barely over the edge last year can be sitting comfortably under it this year without changing a single thing about their own lives. If you checked 2 or 3 years ago and were told you made too much, that decision is out of date. Go check again. It costs you one phone call. It could be worth thousands. Let me add it all up. The Medicare Savings Program can put more than $2,400 a year back into your check and wipes out deductibles and copays too in its most generous form. The Energy Program can put up to around $1,000 a year toward heating and cooling. And SSI, for the right person, can mean nearly $12,000 a year, with even a partial check still worth thousands. That's the difference between a retirement that's a white-knuckle squeeze and one where you can finally breathe. The seniors who collect all of this aren't smarter than you. They simply found out it existed and filled out the form. Now you know it exists too. So here's what I want you to do. Don't let another month slip by leaving this money on the table because you decided at your own kitchen table that you didn't qualify. For the Medicare Savings Program, call your state health insurance assistance program or your state Medicaid office. For energy help, dial 211 and do it soon while the funding is still available. And for SSI, go straight to Social Security. All three are free to apply for. And remember what I told you about the phone. The government is not going to call you out of the blue asking for your bank number to hand you these benefits. You go to them. Nobody is going to knock on your door and hand you what you're owed. The system is quietly built to keep paying only the people who ask. And it will happily let you go your entire retirement, never claiming a single dollar of it, if you let it. The only person who's going to make sure you get every dollar with your name on it is you. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone you love who's 65 or older, especially anyone on a tight fixed income who's convinced the government doesn't owe them a thing. They may be sitting on thousands of dollars a year they've never once heard of. You could be the reason they finally do.